Okay, just had a lesson with a real early beginner, real absolute beginner really, and we were doing turning and emerging, and he asked me about halfway through. He said to me something along the lines of, "Thing is, Tom, I'm seeing that there's a sort of a relationship between the clutch and the speed, but I'm just not getting it. I don't understand how that works," which is very, very good question. I'm no mechanic, but what we're doing by putting that clutch, bringing the clutch pedal up, we select the gear, and by bringing that clutch pedal up, we are meshing together plates in the engine, metal plates, and as such, it's not a switch. It doesn't go chunk together like that. The reason why we have to find that biting point, because we have to mesh them to give the engine the opportunity to mesh them together, synchronize them together, so we're not having clunking of metal and getting through gearboxes and clutches all going, you know. So that's the reason why we can't treat it like a light switch on or off. And all cars are different with regards to the amount of play in the clutch pedal. The crucial bit is the bit that's where the gear is just coming into play, which a lot of people call the biting point, and that amount of play on the clutch pedal is critical to be able to master as we're starting to learn to drive. When you first of all get it, when you first of all begin to put those plates together, you'll feel the revs goes down, the front of the car lifts up, and the car is saying to you, "Yeah, I'm ready. You know, I will go forwards. When you take that handbrake off, I will go forward." That's the beginning of it. If you were to continue bringing that clutch pedal up yet further, it would be going, yeah. Take the handbrake off, because I want to go. If you were to keep on bringing it up without taking the handbrake off, then eventually you would go, "Do you know what, I'm a bolt in," and it would stall because it wants to go forward. You're bringing the clutch up, you're putting it in gear, you're saying drive. Oh, I've still got my handbrake on. You know, so that might only be, it changes in different cars, but that might only be that amount of play, if that comes out, on the clutch pedal. And so we need to master that. And what my pupil was asking me earlier on today, it was in effect, where does that little bit of play there, how does it work? Well, let me talk about that for a second. For manoeuvres, when we're manoeuvring the car around in very tight spaces and we need control, we don't want pace, we want control, so we can do steering. So that can be emerges, it can even be some turns, but certainly emerges and some of the manoeuvres, bit reverse around here and tight little doobly bits, you know. Then what we want is, we don't want that clutch to come all the way up, because that's saying to the car, let's go. Well, we don't want that. So think of it like a tap, I suppose, turning a tap on. If you went into your kitchen to put some water into a glass, you would not be turning the tap fully on, would you? Because all the water's going to go splashing through the glass and all over you. You would turn it on quarter of a turn, whatever, and that's right. If you were filling up the kettle, or if you were filling up the watering can, you would be giving it full blast, wouldn't you? Because you want that to be filled up, And it's kind of like that with the rate at which we're going to move with the car. We want the car to move on these tight little manoeuvre sort of things that we get up to. So emerging is a good example of this. So what do I mean in practical terms? So set the gas, we need that gas, otherwise we will stall the car. You get your left foot, you bring your left foot up to the point at which the car begins to say, yeah, you're now bringing those plates together, I am coming into gear now, you're coming into first gear. Now, what I'm suggesting to you is that when you do your observations, I'm in a very quiet area around here, this car park, you take the handbrake off, and then, no matter what you do with that right foot, I'll put the right foot on. It doesn't matter about how much right foot you put on. You notice I'm not going any faster, because the pace at which I'm going is dictated by my clutch position, which is only just on the bite. So the right foot's got nothing to do with the pace at which I'm going forwards. It's the left foot, it's the clutch. And if I was to now bring that left foot up a little bit more, I'm sort of putting the tap half on now, so we're getting more water and we're getting more speed. So here we go. Yeah. I can still do that with the right foot as much as I like. It makes no difference. All that's doing is preventing a stall. The actual thing that's controlling pace around here is my left foot. So if I was to bring my left foot all the way up, we've now got the water coming out of the tap full pelt, and here we go, we're now moving. So I've got no clutch, the clutch pedal isn't down at all now, it's all the way up. And so for sure now I am in gear. So if you started to do that again with the right foot, you are going to go faster or slower because you are properly in gear. And so what I'm trying to get over here is that by controlling your left foot on that clutch pedal, the precise position on the clutch pedal, you are in effect controlling the amount of water that's coming out of the tap, and you're controlling the speed, the pace of the car. It's not the right foot. So to summarise, you set the gas, otherwise you're going to stall. You bring the left foot up to the point at which most people call it the biting point. It's just about coming into gear, and you keep your feet still. You keep them still. You do your observations. You make sure it's safe for you to proceed. You take the handbrake off. You keep your feet still because you just want the water trickling out the tap. So you just want it I don't want any more than that. That's fine, because I've got a lot of steering to do. I've got to make a lot of observations while I'm doing this, and so you want it all controlled. And then as and when things improve and there's maybe not so much steering on an emerge or on a manoeuvre, you're just about completing the manoeuvre, as and when that point arrives, you bring that clutch up, you're turning the tap on. When you bring that clutch up, if I could speak, when you bring that clutch up, what happens is you're going properly into gear, you're engaging the gear, and then your right foot is then in control of pace because you are now driving the car as it normally goes. So there we are, really. Not a very mechanical textbook answer in the slightest, I think, but it gives you a bit of a sense as to this subject of clutch control and how that affects pace. And right early on, and this is why this has come up this morning with this chap, it's a very, very good question, really. It's a very good point, and the way we can control that is just by, once you've taken the trouble to set those feet, keep them there, give yourself the time to do whatever needs to be done, and then in your own good time, a bit like that dog pulling you up, the dog taking you for a walk, or you taking the dog for a walk. It's a little bit like that. In your own good time, when the right time is right, then you can fully engage the gear by bringing the clutch all the way up, because then you will be ready for it all. But before then, you do need to control the pace by controlling the amount the car is going into gear. So I hope that helps. I mean, we'll practice it. If any of my early learners are watching this and think to themselves, "What? I don't know what he's going on about," or "that would be good for me to practice that," then just mention it next time we're together. It's a very, very key skill, very good skill to do, particularly early on, where you don't want things rushing. Because if you bring that clutch up, if you treat it like an on and off, if you're doing an emerge, for example, and let's say we're emerging right, and you do your observations and you say to yourself, yeah, it's now safe for me to go. You've set your gas with your right foot on the gas to prevent the stall. You've got the clutch just at the biting point. You've done your observations. You said, now I can go. If you just bring that left foot up straight away like that, bring that left foot up, then what happens is, the consequence of that is that we really go. So you've got a lot of steering to do on that right emerge, and then you find consequently you find yourself doing steering, and so it all gets manic, and you just don't need to do that. What you do need to do is keep the feet still. Do the observations, take the handbrake off, keep the feet still. You've set it. The car will begin to just roll for you. You can do that steering for you. And then, as and when the time comes up, you just gently bring that clutch up. And in the early days, that is really nice to be able to have that element of control. It doesn't spook you out. It gives you a sense of, oh right, I'm in control of this car, it's not controlling me. And for sure, later on, that can, we can fine tune everything, but right at early doors, that's a good thing to be doing.